Good evening. It's my great pleasure to be here to share some of my personal story, and experience of environmental NGOs work in China. Just as Josh introduced, you may have a sense that I have a dual identification. One is a researcher. Yes, I am. And also the other one is a activist. And if allow me to describe myself, which identity are more obvious, I would say activist more. But I would use some research techniques to help my action work. So this is my personal characteristic. And so today I will share with you one of my most important work, which is my involvement with China Zero Waste Alliance, a national network on for sustainable waste management in China. And the title I emphasize from independent to influential, because I was recommended to share with you the challenges of Chinese environmental NGOs are facing. So I use this as the keyword. Being independent is not that very difficult in China for an NGO, but to be more influential, there may be incur some tension with independence. So So firstly, I will just introduce you what China Zero Waste Alliance is and what it's doing or has done. Okay, so what is China Zero Waste Alliance? The left is our logo. I will tell you why. So what it is. So the icon. What is it? Can you identify? A what? Lemon. Yeah, correct. Yeah, lemon. So I will tell you why it is a lemon. So in general, we describe ourselves as a platform. Sometimes we use a network, but in our charter we describe ourselves platform. This is also trying to avoid some problem. So a platform for exchange and cooperation between multiple stakeholders who are interested in waste issue or who are concerned with waste problem and who are willing to promote sustainable waste management in China. We were established in 2011, so this year we are entering the 7th year. So why did this organization or network was established 7 years ago? I think two origins are important. Firstly, before 2011, we can trace back to mid or late the 1990s. From then, there have been some environmental NGOs in China working on waste, particularly municipal solid waste. For example, Global Village of Beijing, an environmental NGO I started my career in the environmental field. And this organization was established in 1996. And from the beginning, this organization was involved in some Beijing communities to practice and promote waste separation. So this photo was taken in 1996 when a community called Dachengxiang in Beijing, the residents there volunteered to develop a separation scheme in their community. And this was noticed by Global Village of Beijing. And they worked together to do the waste separation. And during that time, they just bought a simple bins and used their own money and type different names of waste categories on the bins. So this is almost 20 years ago. So after that, some other environmental NGOs also got involved in this work, waste separation, waste reduction in communities. So this is one of the sources, or one of the origins, because, for example, myself, I started to work with Global Village of Beijing in late 2004, and from that to 2011, some NGOs like ours have done many work in the waste field. So this is a base for a national, the emergence, the birth of a national network. And another origin some here may be familiar with is the citizens awareness, citizens actions, not professional NGOs work, but some citizens really encounter some problems which threatens their own personal interest by waste problem. This is the picture of a opposition campaign in 2009, when I think nearly 1,000 Guangzhou citizens protest in front of the municipal government building against a incineration project near their community. So this case was not unique during that period, between 2011 to 2007 and to 2011. There were many similar cases happened in China. For example, this one, which is even earlier than the last one. Another protest in 2007. The exact date is June 5th, the World Environment Day. And the building is the Ministry of Environmental Protection. These people are from a suburban community called Liulitun. Also, they are protesting against a incineration project near their community. So this is another origins, because before that, there were some cases that people had some people's campaigns against waste treatment facilities. But from 2007, this became a social topic. And since the Liulitun case, the public media started to cover these kind of social conflicts incurred by waste problem. So right after this, the professional environmental NGO started to connect with the active citizens who were actually threatened by waste problem. So in October 2011, some professional NGO representatives and also grassroots activists and some specialists on waste management get together in Guangzhou and started and had a meeting. We titled this meeting 2025, Vision for Waste Management in China. After this meeting, we had some common vision. We have a conclusion, which is a vision for China's waste management by 2025. The first one is we need to, or the nation need to have a zero waste goal, or we should have a particular percentage on waste reduction, waste recycling for the whole country, not just passively follow the trend of waste growing and waste facility building. The second one is we recognize the reality that there are still many landfills, incinerators. Though we see them negatively, we see them just as end-of-pipe technology. It just move the waste to somewhere else, or it just transform the forms of waste. For example, for incinerator, it just transform the waste from solid to gas or other forms. But the reality is we still need to live with some facilities for some time. So we need to have world-class pollution control for these treatments. Our strategy is if we really have a world-class technology or control technology for these facilities, the cost is very high, and there will create some incentive for us to go upstream to source reduction and separation, recycling, which should be cheaper. And the third one is we emphasize education. And a particular goal for us is to have the national government or local government to have waste separation included in the school curriculum. So in the future, every student in their school should learn something on waste separation. And these visions are all still with us. And some of them are becoming real, or we are on the path. And another important outcome of the meeting is why not? We have a very big vision, we have high expectation. So if we act separately, individually, that's not going to work. So the last important outcome is to establish a national network. And we called it China Zero Waste Alliance. And during the time, we have a member who is from Hokkien, Fujian province. They cannot distinguish L, the pronunciation of L, from N. So in Chinese, zero waste is a 零废弃. It starts with L. But for Fujian people, they may pronounce it as 零废弃. So, and the short term of 零废弃联盟, Zero Waste Alliance, is 零盟. It starts with L. But for Fujian people, they may call it 柠檬. 柠檬in Chinese is a lemon. Okay, so that's the we love it. This mistake is a good mistake. So our icon is a lemon. So yes, in the past 7 years, China Zero Waste Alliance experienced a significant growth. From establishment to voluntary engagement to institutionalized and now strategized. So firstly, it is growing. We can see it from the participants of the size of participation. So this is the founding ceremony in the end of 2011. Less than 15 members during that time, the first members of the network. These are some of them. Everyone holding a lemon. And this is the first working meeting in March or May 2012. 2012. So these are almost all the members and some volunteers we had during that time. So this is 2015. These includes our members and our volunteers or partners. Since 2012, we had annual meeting and China Zero Waste forum every year. So you can see a very big growth in terms of size of the network. And this continues. This is our annual conference last year in Fuzhou, December in Fuzhou, in Fujian Normal University. Now we have, the latest data is we have 93 members, formal members. So at the beginning, we had only less than 15. And our annual budget is almost 2.5 million Chinese yuan. So before 2015, we were in the phase of voluntary engagement. During that time, we don't have paid staff to coordinate the network. So the development of the network was quite slow. But after 2015, we started to hire the first full-time coordinator, and then it developed into a new secretariat. And March last year, we started to develop a 3-year strategy for the national network. So, so now we have a clear strategy for the network, which also articulates our mission. So in our mission, we emphasize 2 things. First one is the mission of the whole network is to build a stronger zero waste community. And the second mission is to help all the members to do policy work. So our position is to do what the members are less capable to do. So intervening policy is the common need for every member in the network. So this diagram generalize our work, particularly the current secretariat. Community building, this of our is in our mission, and also policy, advocacy, and to do that, to realize that, we are building our think tank to ally with more professionals, experts, and a connection of these 2 missions. We are running some joint action projects. For example, this one, Let's Fund. This is a synonym. In Chinese, it's called 一起分, separation. Let's do separation together. And Break Free from Plastic, a joint action on plastic pollution. I will introduce you more. And Zero Waste Outreach Program. So these joint projects, joint actions, link the community building and policy advocacy. So before I came here, I asked some of the key persons of the network, what do you think is the most influential work that the network has done? So we listed this. So this is the past. As a network, what change we have brought to the society or in China? Firstly, we really have mainstreamed the idea, the concept of zero waste in China. So many, there's some indication there. So many new Chinese local groups, environmental group, if they are going to be involved in waste area, the first name they can think of is zero waste. So this is a sign. And also some local governments are also be happy with this term to describe their work. And the media also coverage this concept more frequently. The second thing is, I think more important is the popularizing the best practices of zero waste or waste reduction and separation or recycling. I can give you some cases later. And the macro policy intervention we have done, particularly in the central level. And some key persons of network emphasize incineration monitoring. I think you remember incineration problem is one of the origins of the birth of this network. And since then, we have been intervening the pollution problem of the, incineration and other type of end-of-pipe technology for waste disposal. And we launched some campaigns on some specific topics. For example, plastic, packaging, and very important because we are a member-based network. So what kind of benefit we can bring to our members? That's very important for the community building. So for many small groups, members groups, they are they have a very big problem with fundraising, lack of financial support. So we are doing this part. We can help them to raise funds together. So these are some examples for these actions and influence we have received. So Hello Zero Waste is our national zero waste outreach program, a joint action. The model is the Secretariat will work with some hubs. With some more capable members to co-organize outreach activities in their regions or localities. But in these events, we will invite experts within the network, including myself, to present the idea of zero waste, the best practice of zero waste. And so far we have done over 50 such 50 outreach activities throughout the country. And an important thing for mainstreaming zero waste is social media. So in China, WeChat is I think it's more important than websites now for ordinary people to get information. So our WeChat, this is the main page of our WeChat account. We have nearly 4,000 followers. For NGO, not a commercial, this is not a small followers. And these are the two recent news posts in our WeChat. The first one is about the central government is issuing a policy, national policy on waste management in rural countryside. We think this is important, it's positive, so we redistribute it. The second one is our policy work. It's on plastic, because just last month, the national government, or more particularly, National Development and Reform Council, asked for social comments for the new plastic waste pollution control policy. So we organized together as a network to collect comments, suggestions, and we aggregate them together and send it to the national government. So, and then we post it in our WeChat. Our suggestions is very comprehensive. So we have a integrated suggestion, and under that we have a more than 8 separate suggestions, recommendations on source reduction, plastic bag, microbeads, incineration of plastic waste, biodegradable plastics, etc. And we are also publishing many good positive stories of zero waste practice. 2 years ago, we published this booklet introducing 10 good cases. And now if you look at these 10 cases, they are still the best in China, many of them. And we are organizing these Skillshare activities in regions. This is the most recent one we organized in Eastern China. And not just NGO staff participated. This activity also attracted some government officials responsible for waste management. We guided them to some best practice cases, facilities, and also we have indoor workshop lectures to share the practical technique for organizing people in community for waste separation. So this photo shows the participants are practicing the separation of waste in Suzhou. And following that, the policy thing. So this is me. I just told you since 2012, we hold the annual conference, Zero Forum, every year. So that's a very important event for the public communication and also policy advocacy. Because during these events, many media journalists will come. So this was in Nanjing. So the provincial, the municipal media all came, and not just me. Many of our members were interviewed by the journalists about our ideas on how to reduce waste. And this photo is from the forum last year in Fujian. We have a multi-stakeholder panel, including corporation doing recycling, to share their experience. For policy advocacy, so not just a forum, there are other ways. For example, write recommendations, write articles, and try to submit them to the government through some more influential journals or medias. So this is an example. This journal is called Reform Internal Memo. It's a internal memo. internal memo in Chinese context is a material that we put on the table of some government department leaders. So it's a selective material for government leaders or director to read, to refer. So this one is for the heads of National Development Reform Council. So I had an article, actually already 2 articles in this journal. So this one is about an assessment of the implementation of the 12th five-year-old national plan on waste management. So this is one way to influence national policy. And another important way is submit proposals via People's Congress. In March, the new National Congress will hold its first meeting in Beijing. So we have already prepared some proposals, and we are contacting some National Congress representative to submit these proposals. And also, I also mentioned to you our monitoring work of incineration. So I will emphasize on the problems, the visible problems of incineration in China. So if you look at this picture, you will have the sense that why we are keeping doing that. The left one is, you see, this is an incinerator. This is the red gas emitted from the chimney. This is a very abnormal situation. But just randomly witnessed by local residents, we don't know what will happen in other time. But this indicates a failure of the operation of the incinerator. And later, I did a research. I did a research and consulted with some international experts on why it's red. And a high possible reason is bromium. No, not bromium. Idiom. The elements called idiom, bromium, chrome. The letter is I. Idiom, yeah. Idiom, yeah. It's so possible cause is some medicines or medical waste is entering this facility. And from the slag, we call it bottom ash of the incinerator. This is a unburned shoe and some plastic, which indicates the incomplete combustion of the waste, which will create many other more serious problems from the gas. So this is why we have been monitoring incineration for 10 years. And these are some recent evidence of the failures of these facilities. So what we have done, some basic work is to intervene individual case to help local people to get evidence, to participate to environmental impact assessment process, and also we apply for information disclosure of the emission data of these facilities. And one observation is there are still many incinerators that cannot fully comply with the national standards. And Also, for example, the most toxic pollution emitted from this facility is dioxin. Only 10% of these facilities release their data on dioxin. And these are the two main joint action projects we launched. The left one is Chinese 摆脱束缚, the English meaning is break free from plastic. And we are allying over 10 members to do different parts of the plastic problem in China. And the right part is the urban community separation project. This one is in cooperation with a very big foundation in China called the One Foundation, initiated by the Kung Fu movie star Jet Li. And this is the posters for our joint fundraising activities. In China, we are doing many internet-based crowdfunding. So these are the crowdfunding projects we raise for our members. For example, for this one, we work together with 18 members to raise funds during September 7, 8, 9, which is like a crowdfunding festival. And very interesting thing for this network throughout the past 7 years is its internal governance. This also many outsiders feel interested too. So we are not a very traditional. So we don't have like a existing network body we can learn from. We just practice based on our needs for internal governance. So firstly, in 2012, we have the first members assembly, and after that, we have such assembly every year. And in October 2012, we passed our charter of the network. And according to the charter, we established our secretariat. But before 2016, the secretary is voluntary. It's run by voluntary member organizations, not individual organization. Organization who volunteer to coordinate the network will send persons to do that. So that's not stable. So after 16, we changed the charter and appoint a professional or a team, working team, as the new secretariat. And at the same time, we established a steering committee for the network. Actually, it's like a board, and we have a rotating chair for the committee. I'm on the committee now. And 2017, we invited a supervisor to monitor the working of secretariat and the steering committee. And after that, we established area hubs. Area hubs can mean regions, geographical, and can mean topics. For example, we have a hub responsible for marine leaders. And according to the charter, the network can establish either permanent working group or temporary working group to develop topics. And the last thing I think is very important is our legal entity. Josh asked me if we are registered. For this network, before 2015, it was not registered. But after 15, we firstly established a fund under Friends of Nature Foundation. So we use Friends of Nature as our identity, entity, legal entity. And last year, we registered as a company in Guangzhou. So this is the secretariat. And this is the steering committee. We had a meeting last year. And we had a very good gender balance. Half to half, I think. And this is, I said, now we are in a phase of strategized. And this is the March strategy development meeting in Guangzhou in March last year. So based on what we have done and our experience, we developed the new strategy for the future 3 years. The strategy discussion started from March last year, but it spent almost a year to have these conclusions. So our current strategy, this diagram describes our long-term vision and medium-term expectations. So in the long term, we hope waste will be largely prevented and recycled. Very small part, very tiny part will be landfill and incinerated. But this is difficult. So for 2020, based on the reality and our capacity, we hope the end of pipe mixed waste disposal can shrink to some extent. Recycling can be enlarged more, the most, and we will start our prevention or source reduction by 2020. So for this goal, we set up 4 strategic areas to work on. Firstly, separation. We will continue the best practice communication, public communication, sharing, and also we will track the current national policy for mandatory waste separation, which is just issued March last year. So this is a very important new policy requiring 46 Chinese major cities to start mandatory separation first. So we will track the implementation of these policy with our local members and try to make it more effective. The second one is plastic. For plastic, our first goal is to reduce single-use plastic from some sectors, for example, hotels, and also plastic bags, micro beads in personal care products. And the third area is continue to monitor incineration. Our conservative goal is for the next five-year plan, incineration will be controlled within 50%. Because the current 5-year plan, the national expectation is over 50%. But 50% is a very dangerous level, we have to say. But it's a difficult thing to deal with. To achieve that goal, we will do the information disclosure continuously, intervene in individual case, and also send some recommendations to the central government. The last one is to build a community, to enlarge the community and either quantitatively and qualitatively. So this is a case. Plastic is within our current strategy, 3-year strategy. And it's also a special case for the network to work with international organizations like Greenpeace. So from 2006, summer of 2016, we launched this global movement called Break Free from Plastic. And we, from the beginning, China Zero Waste Alliance is the core member of this movement. And this is the visions, the strategies of the global movement. So lastly, I will share some personal views of the challenges that we are facing. These are the first things coming into my mind. First is legality. Though we have a register, we have two legal entities now. One is a special fund under a foundation, and we have a business registration. But our network, de facto, is a member-based organization. This is in a gray area of China's social organization management. So we are seeking to be more compliant with the government requirements. But currently, it's difficult to register as a member-based organization. Even for Friends of Nature, the oldest civil society organization in China, from the beginning, they were a member-based organization. But still, it's very hard for them to register as a member-based organization in China. This is strictly controlled by the government. So this is a challenge. How can we adapt to the existing legal system? Or we need to change our charter, change our way of organizing. This is possible. But this is a challenge for us. And as we are growing, the internal governance is also challenging. If we have only 30 to 40 members, it's okay for gather opinions or form consensus. But for 90, 100 or 200, so how can we effectively work together? That's a challenge. We don't have any precedent, in China for such a form of network. And another thing is, I just said from the beginning, to be independent is not that difficult. But our goal is to try to be influential, not just independence. But if you want to be influential, you need to work more with the government, work more with the industry, the corporates, particularly in China's context. If you're Greenpeace, you can raise funds on the street in other countries and support your work in China, but we don't have such resources. If you want to be influential, you need to influence government. You need to work with them. But during that process, that will hurt your independence. For example, we are working with the one foundation on the urban community waste separation project. Though we are trying to maintain our independence, but we need to compromise a lot because they have many connections with companies. So when we are launching a possible campaign against a company, we need to listen to their comments, opinion. So this is inevitable now. And another new science, even for independence, this is there may be some new situation happening. As you might know, that the ruling party in its new Congress, its policy, the party leads everything. I don't know if you have heard of these direction. The party leads everything. So which means we should be led by the party. So if we are also should led by the party, so what the independence or the extent of the independence will be. So this is our new topic. So it's inevitable that we will have more direct interaction with the government. Before, it seems it's only the system, the legal system, put some limits on your development. But maybe in the future, we should have some direct contact or interaction with the government, relevant government departments, because their directions leads everything, including social organizations. And also, I didn't list it in my slides. I just came into my mind. Personnel. I think if you want to more effectively, so personnel is human resources is very important. But though in the past 10 years, the community of environmental organization has collectively have grown bigger, but still, a good person. We just talk about the work, the possible career in China. So we really lack, capable persons to work with us. Our salary is not attractive, and if the incentive for working with NGO is only based on interest or some emotion, that's not sustainable. So this is a challenge also. I think I should stop here. Though I prepared some other extra slides on another organization that I work actually more with, but that organization is the founding organization of the network. I can just show you which it is. We have 7. The steering committees, the committee members come from 7 organizations, and 1 supervisor from another one. And Nature University, Josh mentioned to you, is the organization I work more with. But we are now called, we don't call ourselves Nature University, we call ourselves Shenzhen Zero Waste. And we are focusing on 2 areas. One is rural waste separation, and the other one is toxic chemicals management, which relates to the toxic chemicals, pollutants emitted from incinerators. So these are our work. And we are the founding members and also in the steering committee of the network.